All right, welcome to the Speak Your Piece podcast. My name is Ian McNaughton, Biggie here. Pleased to be joined by SYP creator Scotty K. Scotty, what's
Hey,
happening?
what's going on? Hey, I've been waiting for this podcast. You guys know I'm a Ducks fan. It's the Ducks, it's Pacific Division preview, as we're gonna talk about later. I'm good. I'm really tired, but I'm taking some time out of my day to pod about my Ducks and this what's going to be wild division.
Um,
in my
I
opinion.
I think I'm gonna name this podcast the longest week because this feels like so. We were originally, for those who are wondering, we were originally supposed to pod Wednesday night. We're now doing this Sunday, October 10th, 2021. We were supposed to pod on Wednesday night, but due to stuff going on in my world, I was not able to pod on Wednesday. So now it's Sunday night. We're gonna be doing the NHL Pacific preview. We'll be doing a mailbag as well at the end. But this has just been the most hectic, chaotic week I think I can recall. Between my Everett Silvertip stuff that I've been doing, between my BCIT stuff that I've been doing, um, driving. I've done a whole lot of driving the last like 48 hours. So it's no wonder we've actually found time to, get together and have a podcast.
Yeah, it's worked out well for sure.
So we're going to talk about the Pacific. What team do you want? So do you want to just get from shitty to good? Is that how we want to do this podcast?
We probably should, and we're gonna start with San Jose because Anaheim's not gonna be the worst team in this division. Mark my words.
Okay. Let's talk about San Jose then. So the Sharks. Should we just talk about the Evander Kane stuff first? Because I feel like that's like when you talk about the Sharks, you kind of have to talk about Evander Kane
Yeah.
and all the stuff he's going through right now.
Yeah, it's not good. There's all kinds of NHL PA stuff. I mean, again, for those that don't know, he filed for bankruptcy back a couple. I think this is like January, February this year.
Yes, before the season.
Yeah, before the season started, and it was suspected that it was due to a gambling addiction, which the NHLPA and NHL conducted a investigation on, and they found no foul play in terms of addicted to gambling.
So there's game betting. No evidence of game betting according to Evander Kane. There was domestic violence allegations at September 2021. I think they're still investigating that. There's also been reports of a fake vaccine card that Kane was using with the Sharks. So if those claims are substantiated, Kane could potentially face a lengthy suspension by the NHL as well as criminal charges in the U.S. That's not good. And I don't think the rest of the Sharks are that good.
Yeah, I mean, like in looking at their team, they're going through a big transition phase. They've got, some guys. You look at Brent Burns, look at Couture, look at Eric Carlson that have been there since their not Carlson, but since their 2016-17, like their prime, if you will, their prime maybe. Um, I just I don't know. There's not a lot to. It's not that impressive here, to be honest.
I I think part of it with this team is the fact that I think they thought after they went to the finals in like 2017, I think they thought like, oh, this team is legit and we got many more cup runs in us, when it turned
Yeah,
out that was like an older core who did not have more cup runs in them, with
yeah,
Thornton, Marlowe, Couture. Yeah, this team, I don't really like this. I like some pieces. I don't really like this team. I think this team could almost be worse than Arizona, possibly.
I think you're right. Yeah, it could be. It's got the potential. I mean, there are two guys I do like on this team, and they're both new acquisitions, if you will. Aiden Hill, goalie from Arizona. Funny enough, he's listed as a starter here. He'll probably start most of their games. I like him as a piece. I also like Willie Macklin, who they drafted 7th overall in the draft this year, and he's slated on the second line with Hurdle and Barabanov. So that's looking like a pretty solid second line. But again, outside of that, it's just I don't know. Like you said, to your point, Ian, it's just they might be worse than Arizona. I think you're right.
Um, Jonathan Dahlin is on the first line with Loka Couture and Timo Meyer. Yikes.
I like mine too.
Nick Bonino is on this team.
Yep.
Andrew Cogliano is on this team.
Hey, former Duck.
Former Duck. James Reimer.
He's their backup, right?
Backup goalie.
Yep, there you go. It's
Marc-Edouard Vlasic's on the third pair.
You must be sick if he's on the third pair. Hey, Olympian.
Yeah,
World Cup.
Can I just say,
yes,
is this not the worst GM job? Like, if you like, of all the jobs you could take right now in the NHL, is San Jose is not the worst?
Arizona's is worse, I think, or Buffalo. Actually, no, sorry, scratch that. Buffalo is the worst.
No, you see, here's the thing. I think Buffalo. I think there's a pathway to success in Buffalo, where it's like taking draft picks and selling off pieces for like draft picks. Like I think, and utilizing like basically doing what Arizona's doing. I think that's what you can do in Buffalo.
Right.
That's what Buffalo should be doing. San Jose, they've already made so many financial commitments between Carlson, Burns, Couture. I don't think Evander Kane's coming back. No. But there's just Marc-Edouard Vlasic. Like, there's so many financial commitments that this team has to win now. Because they can't just trade those guys. Like, you can't trade Carlson, Burns, Vlasic, Couture. So I think you can make the argument that San Jose's got the worst GM job in the league right now.
Probably definitely in the Western Conference. I would
yeah.
say sure. I think there's worse positions to have, to be honest, but I'm with you there. Western Conference, not a great place. And it like you said, it's just a weird setup. Like, ownership thinks they could still win it with this core. They can't. There's no way.
Who's your X factor on the Sharks?
Timo Meier. I think he's more of a player, like my player to watch versus an X factor.
Because when we talk about X factors, we usually talk about guys who we think like if this guy does well, then the rest of the team ideally is doing well.
Kind of lift the team up. Yeah. Meier's a key piece on the first line, and he's gonna be. I don't know. He's just like really. I think he's gonna be one of the leaders on Team Switzerland at the Olympics, and he'll have hopefully get it off to a good start, and then he'll carry that success into the Olympics. But obviously that's not helping out San Jose. So, Timo Meier's my guy to watch. Yeah, what are you thinking?
I was thinking about going one of the guys on Daily Faceoff's third line for the Sharks right now between Rudolph Balcers, Nick Bonino, Kevin LeBanc. Like, I feel like if one of those guys can really step up and like, I don't know if there's like a 20 goal scorer here, but if somebody can maybe get 40 or 50 points, that could help.
Yep.
Maybe push him into a wild card spot. Aiden, probably one of the goalies is like the real answer here, but I feel like I feel like the the not obvious answer is like some bottom six forward on this team can have a bounce back resurgent season and maybe push this team to a wild card. I think that's the best you can hope from this team is a wild card this year.
That's the very best, and that's in a division that like he's only going to have 3 playoff teams. But again, we'll see what happens.
Okay, that's our Sharks preview.
Yep.
What team do you want to go with next?
Let's talk about Calgary.
Okay, let's talk about Calgary. I think this team is. I think this team is like 5th in the West.
You mean in the Pacific?
Or Pacific West. I think this team is 5th in the Pacific.
Okay.
I think there's a lot riding here on Sutter, this team believing in Sutter.
Yep.
And if they can play the way that he thinks they can play. Losing Giordano for nothing in the offseason blows, to put it lightly.
Yeah, to put it lightly.
I don't know how they're gonna replace, like if they're gonna go with a Moneyball thing and replace him with Erica Branson, Nikita Zadorov, Oliver Shillington. Like I don't know where that replacement's coming from, but
right.
I I think there's a lot has to go right for Calgary to do well this year, and I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I like that. And again, just looking at this roster, like, Kachuk's a good piece. Kachuk's a good player, but can he carry a franchise at this point? I don't think so. He's just not quite there. He needs help around him, and he just doesn't quite have that help that he needs to have.
I mean, here's the thing. I like Kachuk. Mangiapane's actually turned into like one of my favorite Flames.
Mangiapane had a hell of a World Championships, and I think he's going to take a big step up with that on the Flames. And he's not to spoil it, but he's my X factor.
Okay.
For sure. And just for that reason alone, he took a big step last year. He was became a notable guy, had a heck of a World Championship, and he's going to come back to Calgary maybe not hungry, but like motivated to get better and to continue to be this like unheralded, like kind of Joe Pavelski type, bit of a smaller forward, but has a bit of bite.
A good net front presence.
A good net front presence, can score, can chip in defensively. Like, he's a very solid two-way guy, and he's a good player. I'm not gonna sleep on Mangiapane. So
I think there's a world in which if the Flames have another shitty start to their season, which is certainly in the realm of possibility, they could be big sellers at the deadline, especially if like Brad Treliving, I think, is someone who could definitely get fired mid-season if shit hits the fan in Calgary.
Oh, if they're not like at least in the hunt.
Yeah, if they're like 6th or 7th, like if they're near the bottom to start the year, that's a tough look. And I mean, I think you could see somebody like Gaudreau gone, Monahan gone.
I think Monahan's the most likely to go of any of the players on this roster. I think Monahan's probably trade target number 1. He might be top 5 on the TSN trade bait board. Just saying, he might be.
Elias Lindholm is another name that could be moved.
True, but the thing with Lindholm is I really like Lindholm. I think he's such an important piece to that team. And although he's a veteran guy and he would be a very valuable asset to a playoff team, I think he's too important to the franchise. And I think he does enjoy being in Calgary. So
if you're the Flames and let's say you have a really shitty like start to the year.
Sure.
Who is untouchable?
Kachuk, Dubé, Lindholm, Tanev, and Markstrom, I think, are my four or five guys.
I think it's Kachuk, Mangiapane.
Oh, and Mangiapane as well. Yeah, so 6. Yeah.
Mangiapane, Valamak. Like I don't like a defenseman, some sort of I don't know if Tanev. I think they might want to get rid of him for like salary cap purposes. Although Tanev and Markstrom could be harder to move. Listen, here's the thing. I think there's a world in which the Flames can make the playoffs. I think they can, string together, play the way they Sutter wants them to, and go be a playoff team. I think it could happen.
Sure.
I just think there's too much that has to happen for them to be a playoff team. And that's why I think they're gonna probably miss out on the playoffs.
There's you gotta bank on a lot of things in Calgary, and as many seasons go, a lot of times it doesn't happen. And I'm with you. I don't think they make the playoffs either. But
I really have a tough time believing in a team with Nikita Zadorov and Goodbranson in your top 6.
Yep,
that's a really tough sell for me. And when your fourth line of Lucic, Brad Richardson, and Trevor Lewis, that's maybe not a bad playoff line. But if you're relying on that for 82 games, that's another tough sell for me.
I agree with you there.
My X factor on the Flames, you already mentioned yours, Mangiapane.
Yeah.
I'll say Noah Hannafin.
Okay.
I like Hannafin.
Yep.
I think he's a solid defenseman. He's somebody who could be moved left side defenseman.
He's got to be one of those guys. He's got to eat 25 minutes a game and play good minutes for the Flames to get anywhere close. And he is capable of playing 25 minutes, but the question is, can he play 25 minutes against the best players? I don't think he quite can. It's almost like Duncan Keith, except for the fact that Keith did do that at one time, whereas Keith was still getting 25 minutes just last year in Chicago. Yeah.
And it's just like that wasn't what Keith is. That's not what Keith is supposed to be.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. And it's the same with Hannafin, where it's like he, can be. Hannafin could be the guy who plays 25 minutes. That's just not what he should. That's not the best way to use Hannafin.
If he was the third or fourth defenseman on this team, I would be very thrilled. But because he's either one or two, it's
a little sketch.
Yeah.
And again, like losing Giordano sucks. Giving up a third-round pick for Zadorov is not what I would call ideal.
Trying to replace Giordano, but it's a price you have to pay, right?
No, you don't have to pay that for Zadorov. You don't have to pay anything for Zadorov. Nobody should be giving up assets for Nikita Zadorov. Not in today's economy. Okay. I want to talk about the Seattle Kraken.
Right now. Okay.
I want to do it right now.
Okay, let's do it. Let's hear it.
So the Kraken, because I think this is what people really want to hear. And there's like 2 or 3 teams that people really want us to talk about. And the Kraken are one of them.
Yeah.
So I've seen the Kraken play twice this preseason. Mm-hmm. I saw them play against the Oilers in Everett, and they were not great for 55 minutes in that game. I saw them play the Canucks in Vancouver, and they were the best team for 60 minutes in that game.
Right.
I think this is a team that has a specific way that they want. They know who they are, and they know how they want to play. And I think they have the tools to be that team that they want to be in terms of we don't give up goals. We play hard. And you're going to have a shit time trying to, shoot anything against us. Goal scoring is not their top priority here. Their main goal is to make sure you don't score. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure you don't score.
Yeah. They'll muck out games 3-2, 2-1. And I 100% agree with you. And again, you just look at their team, you look at their core, you look at how they're built. They have essentially like 7 or 8 like second pairing defensemen on their team. In essence. More or less. And again, guys are going to develop, guys are going to, get better, whatever it looks like. And the guy in net, who's my X factor, Philip Grubauer, and he's Vezina candidate last year, and he's a terrific goalie. So, like to your point, they're gonna lock it down, be an absolute brick wall of a team to play against, and they're gonna win games 2-1.
I think with the Kraken,
yep,
they don't need any. We talked about Hannafin playing 25 minutes a night. They don't need anybody to play 25 minutes a night. Because you have the depth 1 through 6 on any given night.
Yep.
To just have guys play 20 minutes each. Like you can trust Alexiak to play 20 minutes a night.
Yep.
You can trust Adam Larson to play at least 20 minutes a night. Vince Dunn to play 20 minutes a night. Which I like. I think this team, like you say, maybe not going to be the most entertaining team to watch. Maybe actually going to be one of the more boring teams to watch. But if they're hot, like if they're on any given night, if they're on, they're going to be one of the most toughest team, one of the hardest, most physical teams to go up against, and it's going to be a pain in the ass to go up against the Kraken.
And again, think about all the teams coming, from the East coming out to West to play Seattle. It's like in the NFL. Think about if you're an NFL team and you're coming out to play Seattle, you're in for a shit time because that CenturyLink Field is nuts. You go into Climate Pledge Arena here in Seattle, like it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be an absolute chaotic scene, and
it's going to be like a college atmosphere.
Exactly, and again, new team, new organization, everything that comes with that. I will say there is one thing that you said that I don't necessarily fully agree with is that they're not going to be fun to watch. I disagree with that. I think they actually will be fun to watch, and purely on kind of looking at their forward groups really like. You just look at all those guys. No one's huge. There's no big players, but they're all quick. And that's how they built this team. They're quick up front. Maybe not the most like, oh my God, there's a Mark Stone. Oh my God, there's Max Pacioretty. There's a Willem Carlson. They're not like that quite yet. They're gonna probably acquire players. Wenberg's gonna become better. Jerry McCann's gonna be better. He's gonna kind of develop in a bigger role. Eberle is gonna, be like the first line winger that he was in New York, and he's gonna be the same thing here in Seattle. And it's I don't know. I think they're gonna be fun to watch. Just watching some of their set plays, and the guys have really bonded. They're kind of like hungry. And one thing I think it was Jamie Lexiak said after a preseason game, he was talking about how like every game a guy's gonna be extra motivated because they're playing against their old team.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that'll make it fun to watch for sure.
My X factor on the Kraken, and by the way, Yanni Gourde, not even listed yet on Daily Faceoff, is like going to be probably the top, if not second line center on this team.
Yep.
My X factor is Morgan Geekie.
Interesting. Okay.
He's had a terrific preseason.
Yep.
Nickname's Geek Squad.
Mm-hmm.
Former Tri-City American, Morgan Geekie, by the way. I am excited to see how he does. He had, he had moments of brilliance in Carolina. Like I think he had like 4 points in his first 2 games or whatever with the Hurricanes.
Yep.
I think if he is going to stay, if he can stay on his third line, contribute like he has this preseason, look out for Morgan Geekie. That dude could have a terrific season that none of us expect. Because we're all talking about like who's, comparing it to Vegas, who's the next William Karlsson? Who's the next Shea Theodore? Who's the next whatever?
Yeah.
Morgan Geekie, I think, could be that guy.
I also like, to your point about who's the next Shea Theodore, I like Vince Dunn to be that guy. Or Hayden Fleury as well, another guy.
Vince Dunn got 2 goals in the preseason game.
Yes, against the Canucks. I saw both, and they were absolute bombs from the point.
He's got a good shot on him.
He does, yeah. And he gets it through. That's the biggest thing with him.
So, Kraken are looking good.
Yep.
Who's the next team you want to discuss?
I think we should talk about Anaheim, and then we'll get into Los Angeles, and then we'll talk about some of the better teams.
Other Canadian teams?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So, let's talk about Anaheim.
Let's talk about Anaheim. So
I'll give you this is your platform. You can start with the Anaheim.
So I'll preface it with this. They won't make the playoffs, and I'm okay with that because they're not quite there. However, having said that, Zegras is my X factor. There is a pretty good chance he'll win the Calder, depending on how things go, how many points he scores, what he does for the team, and how he drives kind of the offense. Him and Comtois and Raquel on the first line have looked really, really good. And that's something I've noticed in preseason. They've been kind of driving the play, which you haven't seen that in Anaheim since Getzlav and Perry were in town, which is really, really good to see as a Ducks fan. Like I said off the top, this team's not a playoff team. They're not going to make the playoffs, but it's just going to give kind of time for guys like Troy Terry and Isaac Lundestrom, Max Comtois even, Jamie Drysdale back on the point as well, to kind of just develop and give them the minutes and I don't want to say a better team, but in where they have like more of an expanded role, they have more confidence. They've played half a year or a bit of a year already. So they're going to really kind of step into bigger roles, and Bob Murray is going to expect them to hop into, okay, like, and Dallas Aiken's going to hop in and say like, okay, like, let's get going with this. Right. So, I like the Ducks outlook. They're not gonna make the playoffs this year, but Zegras and Drysdale will be 2 guys that you need to watch because they're gonna be fun for sure.
This is largely, correct me if I'm wrong, this is largely the same team from last year.
Yes, the Ducks made no changes in the offseason.
Well, hey, don't disrespect Brogan Rafferty like that, all right, man?
Also, Hayden Fleury went to the
Seattle.
Yeah, went to Seattle.
Listen, I don't know what I get. So you're rebuilding.
Yes.
The Ducks are rebuilding, but at the same time, they didn't make any moves, i.e. trading Adam Henry, Silverberg, even,
Raquel even.
Raquel, Cam Fowler.
Yeah.
Because the price was too high, reportedly, for said guys.
Yep.
So what this team feels like to me is a team that's maybe not to the same extent that Detroit is, but a team that's kind of taking the long way to doing a rebuild. Where
And
they have
that's not a bad thing.
Which is not a bad thing. I'm not totally opposed to that because, good things take time.
Yep. True.
And you do have one of the best goalies in the league who unfortunately has to play behind one of the not worst decors, but a defense that's maybe not great.
Lackluster. Yeah, that's true.
And again, there's pieces I like. I think there's, some talented players on this team.
Definitely.
If Max Comtois is your leading scorer again this year, I'd still be a little bit concerned.
I think it'll be Zegras, but that's
part of it, like last year. I'm just pulling it up now. So last year, record was 17-30-9.
Yep.
Which Ducks will probably win maybe 30 games this year if you're lucky.
35.
But point leader was Max Comtois with 33, which essentially would have been about 50 points, 55 points.
Yep. Yeah. That sounds
right. Listen, I just, if that happens again, if you get the same sort of repeat, that's really concerning. The other thing I will say that by law of averages, the Ducks had the worst single season power play in the NHL last year, like ever. Worst power play ever at about 9%.
Yep.
Which it really can't get that low. Like it can't be that low again. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be like Edmonton Oilers 30% level, but by law of averages, like that power play should be near 15 to 20% this upcoming season.
Oh, I agree with that. I think it will be higher because, again, I mentioned Zegras and Drysdale, and they're both slated on the number one power play unit as of right now. And I just think they're that kind of influence of, or the influx of dynamic talent, like you said earlier, is going to help boost it a bit. It won't, like you said, it won't be McDavid, Draisaitl level of power play, but it'll be better for sure.
So the biggest question with this team is just who's going to score the goals.
Yep.
Because I think like goaltending will be fine. The Ducks will give up about 3 goals a game, more or less, just because of who their goaltending is and who their defense is.
Sure. Okay.
It's just a matter, can they score 3 goals a game?
Yeah.
Which I don't know that they can. And that's gonna be like the biggest issue. It's like I don't know if they can score 3 goals a game.
Ever since Perry and Getzlaf kind of tailed off and Perry got sent for Dallas, goal scoring has always kind of been an issue. Raquel, Silverberg, Henrique are all kind of guys that the Ducks expected for the last few years to lean on and produce, and none of them just haven't. Hopefully, again, like I said, Steele steps up. Lundestrom has a better year. He showed really some good flashes of brilliance. Obviously, I talked about Drysdale. Some of the, even like another step up from Josh Manson, from Cam Fowler, even hopefully bounce back year for him. Like I said, there's pieces here, like you said as well, there's pieces here that are nice, but you're not going to score enough yet. And maybe McTavish comes in late season and puts in 10 goals in 20 games. We'll see what happens.
You said your X factor was Zegras?
That's correct, yeah.
All right. I'll go with Manson.
Okay, I like that, yeah.
Because Manson, so he's going to be on the right side again.
Yep. Top pair.
He's 30.
Wow.
And I don't want to say injury prone because I don't think that's fair. But he has had some, like he missed quite a bit of time last year. Yep. Missed quite a bit of time the year before. It's a really tough sell for me, again, having a 30-year-old with injury history as your top line right D.
Yeah, but when he's healthy, man, he's effective.
I agree with that. It's just a matter of, can he stay healthy for an 82 game season?
We'll find out.
We'll find out. And if not, this might be a time where Jamie Drysdale just, shows off.
Takes the reins as he should. He's going to be the number one D guy on the right side in Anaheim pretty quickly. It's just a matter of, is it next year or is it the year after that? But we'll see.
Manson is also a UFA after the season, so maybe he's got a modified no trade, so maybe they get rid of him at the deadline. But
we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Let's talk about our bitter rivals, Los Angeles.
Well, your bitter rivals. I actually really like the Kings.
I also like the Kings too. I like their pieces. I just don't like them as a team.
So what don't you like about the Kings? Is it because there's some, Anaheim's rivals? But what actually don't you like about the Kings? This is a therapy session, Scott. Like, talk it out. What don't you like about
Talk it out. I just don't like the fact that, I don't know. Maybe it's just because they're Anaheim's biggest rivals, and I have to not like the Kings. I actually like the Kings pieces, and I like what they're doing in their system. They've got a boatload of prospects, two, quote, potentially top centers in Byfield and Turcotte. And again, looking at this team right now, Velarde's solid. Kaliev's going to be playing on third line likely. Anderson Dolan's going to be a solid bottom six piece. Mikey Anderson slated to play with Drew Dowdy this year.
My boy, Mikey Anderson.
Mikey Anderson, former American national junior team member. No, I don't know. I think the Kings are set up really well, but same thing. They're kind of in the same spot as, I don't want to say the same spot as Calgary, but they're like gonna be at the same type of level. Like they'll be kind of back and forth in the standings. I'm thinking
it's basically, I think, how you predict this division.
Yeah,
it's pretty much like how do you feel about Seattle, LA, and Calgary? Because you have a Seattle team that it's kind of trending neutral because of the fact that we have no idea what Seattle's like, right? That's
a good point. Yes.
The Kings are trending upwards because they have all these prospects. They have pieces who are, still pretty good, like Arvidsson, Danault, who they just acquired, who are solid key pieces. Calgary, I feel like, is trending downwards. And the fact that if it doesn't go well for the Flames this year, people are losing jobs.
Absolutely. And people are getting traded as well.
People are getting traded. And I don't think that happens for Seattle or LA. So I think that's how I feel about those three teams. And I feel like they're all kind of within like the same sort of spot.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I don't know. LA's got like down the middle. They look really good. I like Kopitar. He's still one of the best defensive centers in the game. I like Danault, also one of the best defensive centers in the game. And I like Velarde too. Velarde looked pretty good. He's looked so far pretty good in preseason. He's gotten bigger. Look like he's gotten faster. That was always a knock on him. He was always a pretty slow guy, but now he's fat. He's quicker. He's whatever he did in offseason worked out. So,
and he's not a center, but you do like Dustin Brown.
Yeah, oh for sure.
Dustin Brown's probably one of your favorites.
Oh yeah, the best. Drew Dowdy is still Drew Dowdy. Like he's
overpaid. He's overpaid, and
he is overpaid, but he's still a good defenseman. He's not 10 or whatever, 11 million.
11 million for like the next 6 years.
He's not worth that, but he's still a very good defenseman.
So pretty much, I think with the Kings is that I think their forward group's pretty good. Their defense, they got Edler over the offseason, but I think their defense, there's still a little bit left to be desired when it comes to the Kings defense.
They're just young and developing. They need and just start playing more. Simply just get on the ice and get that experience against some of the better teams in the Pacific Division, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But they're. I think another lackluster is a good word for this team as well. Outside of Drew Dowdy, they're kind of just like, I don't want to say a bunch of nobodies, but they're just, I don't know, unheralded maybe.
Unheralded is probably the right word. And then goalie, Cal Peterson, maybe one of the most underappreciated goalies in the league right now. In LA.
Yeah.
Jonathan Quick is not the same guy that he was in the past. I think the Quick maybe downfall was really in 2018 in the first round against Vegas when Quick was electric in all four games. Like kept LA in all 4 games, yet they still got swept by Vegas.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
So with that being said, Quick might be my X factor.
But
Like I don't think he's going to be playing 50 games. He
I
might
think we have pretty even split between both goalies. I think
probably, and if Quick can do like a 275 GAA and like a 910 save percentage, but I don't think they're asking for a lot, but like 900, 910, maybe 905, something along those lines that keeps them in games. Then I think you're in a good spot. I think that's going to be the difference between making and missing the playoffs is if Quick can have like a 905, 910 save percentage compared to like an 890 or 895.
Yeah, I like the sound of that.
Who's your X factor?
Kopitar. This is still Kopitar's team. He's still the captain. If he's putting up 70 points, if he's driving the bus, the team's going to come with him. They'll be in the hunt, but they're not going to make playoffs.
Okay. So what team? What we got 3 teams left that we need to talk about.
We have 3 teams. We talked about everyone. Yeah, Vancouver, Edmonton, Vegas. Let's go. Let's talk about Edmonton first.
Okay. The forward group is probably one of the most balanced forward groups in the entire league, if not the most balanced forward group.
I would say, yeah. Vancouver's pretty close, but yeah, their forward group is looking good.
With that being said,
yeah,
the defense and the goaltending. Speaking of position groups that leave a lot to be desired.
Yeah,
that is like a big worry for me this year when it comes to the Oilers. Is everybody who isn't a forward. I'll leave it at that. Everybody who isn't a forward on the Oilers, I have some concern about, maybe outside of Nurse.
I don't know. Barry's pretty good, man. I would say that. And I think Bouchard's going to take a step as well.
So then you and I can play, my favorite game that I play with HYP creator Ravisher, who is the best offensive defenseman / most horrible in their own D zone. D-man in their league. Candidates include Tyson Barrie.
Okay.
Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
Yeah.
Quinn Hughes.
Yeah. Oh, God. There's 2 Canucks there.
Cody Ceci, who is just maybe not good in general. Also on the Oilers. John Carlson.
Yep.
And insert player here. Any other names, if you have any other suggestions that you want to throw in there for guy who is great at contributing offensively, but is an absolute nightmare in his own zone.
I want to say insert player here. It's Tony DeAngelo, but
that guy is just a concern when he's not on the ice and in his own zone.
Yeah, that's true. Insert player. I'm gonna say insert player here. Quinn Hughes will get better. Ekman-Larsson, I don't know why people don't like Ekman-Larsson. I think he's fine. But
he got paid and then got worse.
That's always how it happens, though?
I guess.
Unless you're
other name I could mention is Seth Jones. Seth Jones is another guy who's.
I was about to say Seth Jones, but I think Seth Jones is okay defensively.
You could be right.
Maybe it is Tyson Barrie. Maybe it is.
There's a good argument for Tyson Barrie. I'll say that much.
There is, but Barrie and Nurse as a D pair are very solid. I think there's some truth there. You're right. Barrie as a standalone defenseman isn't the greatest defensive defenseman, but neither is Quinn Hughes. So, and neither was Paul Coffey, by the way.
No, but that was also a different time where you just scored 8 goals against the opposing goalie, no matter what.
This is also a good point.
They didn't wear pads as goalies back in the day. So
they weren't as good, and their stand-up goaltending strategy was not good. So.
No. So the Oilers. Can I just name off some of the Oilers offseason moves?
Sure. Yeah, bring it. There's a bunch, but yeah, bring it.
Just for the fun of it. So they acquired Duncan Keith and Tim Soderlund. from the Blackhawks for Caleb Jones and a conditional third-round pick this upcoming year. But it could turn into a second-round pick if Edmonton reaches the finals and Keith is among the top 4 defensemen on the Oilers in time on ice during the first 3 rounds.
Very conditional.
Okay. Very conditional. They traded their first-round pick in 2021 to Minnesota, which turned out to be Jesper Wallstedt, for Xavier Bogo and a third-round pick from Pittsburgh in 2021, which turned out to be Luka Munzenberger. Questionable deal at the time because people thought Wallstedt could be a future goalie for the Oilers, and they traded, that opportunity away. Yep. They traded Ethan Bear to the Carolina Hurricanes for Warren Foegele, which on the surface, it's actually I think an even deal. It's actually probably a fair deal for the most part.
Yeah.
It's just you're giving up another defenseman, which you are already limited at defense anyways, and now you're giving up another piece on defense. They signed Cody Ceci to a 4-year deal.
Yep, they did.
They signed Zach Hyman to a 7-year deal.
Yep, they did.
Derek Ryan to a 2-year deal.
I like that signing. That's
an okay sign. That one. Okay, I see where you're coming from there.
Also, Zach Hyman's a good signing too. I think
Hyman will be good for 3 years, and then by year 5, it's gonna be a shit contract. Trying to manage the next 3 years.
Yeah, but again, in 3 or 4 years, he might be gone. The Oilers might have won a cup by this point, and he might be gone anyways.
Come on, the Oilers aren't winning a cup. We all know this. They aren't winning a cup.
Hey, man, you never know. Never know.
They also just for good measure, signed Brandon Perlini to a 1-year deal. Because just had a good feeling on Brandon Perlini because we all want a little Perlini in our life.
He had a good cap, man. He had a good cap. I think he played his way onto the team, to be honest.
Oh God. As a Red Wings fan who's watched Perlini, I wouldn't exactly be enthusiastic by that. Okay, listen. The Oilers are gonna. The thing is, they keep talking about the Oilers being a lot of 5-4 games this year. They obviously have 2 of the 5 best players in the league right now. 2 of
the 4 best players.
2 of the 4 best players in the league right now.
Easily.
I think defense wins championships.
I agree.
And I'll be honest. You know what? I've said this before. I titled a podcast before with the Edmonton Oilers are missing the playoffs, and I still believe that. I think this team just had a wacky off season that didn't really make any sense outside of Ken Holland thinking it's 2014-13 and we're going to get some of these guys that just are not meant to win right now outside of maybe Hyman and Foegele. But you're trading Bear to get Foegele and you need a defenseman. But you get Duncan Keith, but that's okay. We'll just take all of Keith's contract and not have Chicago retain any salary on that. I don't fucking get this team. Ken Holland is treating this like the Red Wings of the past, and I'm out. I'm not buying this team. I don't buy it for a second.
So they're not a playoff team.
They're not a playoff team because the goaltending is who's their goal? So the goaltending
Mike Smith, Mikko Koskinen.
You're gonna tell me Mikko Koskinen and Mike Smith. Listen, I like Mike Smith, and I don't think Mike Smith was the reason why this team lost in the playoffs to Winnipeg. But you're going to tell me Mike Smith at 40 is going to be good to go for another 40 or 50 games. And if so, you think that Mikko Koskinen is going to give you another good 30 or 40 games. With this defense, with this decor, I'm out. And you lose Larson for nothing this year. The same with Giordano. You let him walk.
That one hurt. I'll give you that one. That one really hurt for sure.
You have your top 4 potentially this year is Darnell Nurse, solid player. Okay. Good D man. Duncan Keith at 38. Okay. Tyson Barrie and Cody Ceci.
Cody Ceci scares me. I'll give you that one.
And Alex Stalock can't play this year because he's got a heart problem due to COVID. So Alex Stalock can't play. So your third goalie is probably going to be Stuart Skinner this year.
Yeah. Well, right now it's Koskinen. It's Smith and Koskinen, right?
No, but if Staylaw, those are your two are Smith and Koskinen. Staylaw can't play hockey because he's got the heart problem. So
Right.
your third goalie, just in case, is Stuart Skinner.
Yeah. Yeah. That's. But again, here's the thing. Stuart Skinner's a young goalie, right? So him coming in, you never know, right?
I'm just so anti what Holland has done. And like, I think the forward group will be fine. I think they'll lose a lot of 5-4 games.
They might.
Like that.
Yeah. Yep. You're not wrong.
Who enough of me ranting about the Oilers. Who's your X factor on the Oilers this year?
Zach Hyman. He's gonna have to drive the bus, penalty kill, power. He won't be on the power play. He'll be penalty kill. He'll play a lot. He'll be with McDavid, Draisaitl, whoever it is. Not sure who yet, but he's gonna have to be a key part of that team. I mean, the obvious picks here are McDavid, Draisaitl. It's their show, and they're gonna drag the Oilers to the playoffs. And Hyman's gonna have to play a big role getting them there, and then also in the playoffs as a top flight penalty killer. And I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Hyman, by the way, Zach Hyman, 29, right? He's 29 years old with a bit of an injury past. And he's getting paid $5.5 million until 2028.
It's a lot of money.
My X factor is Keith. If Keith is shit this year, this whole season goes down the fucking drain. Like if he's not good, like if he does not do well whatsoever, this team is going to be fighting for its playoff life.
Yeah.
And I mean that genuinely. Like if Duncan Keith is not a top 2 defenseman this year, it's going to be bad. It's going to be really bad for this team.
But if he's really good, Ken Holland's a genius. Just FYI.
Sure, but I guess what I'm saying is that I would not be confident in these investments made by Holland. I would not feel confident. Question. If the Oilers miss the playoffs this year, Holland and Tippin are gone.
I would say Ken Holland goes because I think McDavid at this point it's not coaching that's the issue. It's the personnel that are on the team that's the issue. Is that they can't get the defense and the goaltending to keep the puck out of the net.
Okay.
Goal scoring is not an issue, and you said it earlier. Power play was 30% last year, which is, albeit not sustainable, but unbelievably good, and especially when you have two of the best, probably the two best offensive players in the world. Like,
also Zach Kassian on one of the worst contracts in the league.
We'll save Zach Kassian for another podcast.
We also didn't mention, but we should mention Jesse Puljujarvi.
Yes.
In a contract year, and Kyler Yamamoto.
As going into an RFA year.
Both of them are going in RFA years.
RFA, that's right. True.
Just
interesting to watch.
Should mention them. Do we go Vancouver?
Let's go Vancouver because people want us to talk.
Speaking of teams that have made weird moves in the offseason.
No. I think you can say what you want to say. I have a different opinion, but
you go ahead. You go talk about the Canucks because I just ranted about the Oilers for like the last 5 minutes.
You did. Canucks fans, you're gonna like this. So the Canucks, their top 9 is top notch. I would say one of the best top 9 forward groups in the NHL. Well, not the best, but one of the best.
Sure. Right.
Again, just looking at this team right now, JT Miller's slated as a third line center. Now, will he stay there? Who knows? I really like the Connor Garland trade, like the acquisition of him. That was huge. Probably the most underappreciated move by any team this year, in my opinion. Garland's a great piece. He's looked really good on the second unit on the power play, and he's going to be good 5-on-5 as well. Pettersson and Hughes are signed. That was the biggest concern. If their contract issues dragged out into the season, it would have caused some shit with Jim Benning, with the Aquilinis, with whoever. Canucks fan base would not have been happy, but they got it done. Quinn Hughes for 6 years, Petey for 3. I like both signings.
You say that as we all look towards Ottawa and Brady Tkachuk.
That's him. Yeah, we haven't even talked about him. I like the Canucks. I like what they're looking. They're gonna make the playoffs this year. I'm very confident in that. Will they get out of the second round? I don't know. I think there's a team that's a bit better than them, but I do like what they're doing, and they're again. Let's not forget they're still on the rise here. Demko's still fairly young. He's still got some life left in him. Hughes is man. He better have a bounce back year. He's one of those guys with Carter Hart. They better have a bounce back year, and I think he will.
So the Canucks actually like do have like I saw them in person, and they do have like some quality players. Like Neil Niels Hoglander might be my favorite Canuck.
Okay.
It's like between Quinn, Thatcher, and Hoglander.
Yep.
He's just like the Energizer buddy at that size too. Like it's really impressive to watch, especially in person. It's really fun.
Oh,
You know, I think one of the other things that will help this team is that they don't have the cloud of Louis Eriksson, Antoine Roussel, Jay Beagle, hovering over them, even though there's a lot of clouds that, you know, hang over Vancouver during the hockey season, during the rain, with all the rain and snow. I think that cloud is over, and I think that's going to be a positive step in the right direction for this team.
Yep.
Now you just deal with the cloud of OEL, which is fine because that's not Jim Benning's problem. Because that's just going to be for the next guy who takes the job. Because that's where this is going. If this doesn't work out, Benning gets fired, and away we go.
Man, you're really pessimistic with these Canadian teams this year.
Okay, well, what Canadian team is going to be good? Like, I think we were high on Winnipeg.
Yeah, we were. That's true.
We were high on Toronto.
Well,
like regular season Toronto.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Any other Canadian team that you're really?
Yeah, there's one we're talking about right here.
So they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah, they'll probably win the first round, depending who they play against.
Okay.
I think so. Let me tell you why. And you know, we can talk about their top 6 and their top 9, and you know, their defense got better, undeniably got better. I think Demko's now the full-time guy. He's not gonna have to worry about Holtby, not gonna have to worry about anyone else.
So your defense is still like you still have Tyler Myers.
Yes.
You're bringing in OEL.
Yep.
God, OEL and Tyler Myers on the same D pair. Wouldn't that be just fucking awesome to watch?
That'd be terrific to watch.
Tucker Poolman.
Yep.
Who the Canucks, for whatever reason, signed to a 3-year deal.
He's a solid defenseman. I don't know why you're.
Well, okay, so like, but it's the whole thing with Benning. It's like, sure, this guy might be okay. Like Tucker, like I think when they signed like Eriksson and Roussel and Beagle a few years, like more Roussel and Beagle, when they signed those guys, because they signed them during the same day, right?
Yeah.
Like those guys are fine pieces. Like those guys are clearly bottom 6 pieces. They're giving you a bit of grit, a bit of toughness, maybe a little scoring, but that's not why you're signing them. It's because of their scoring.
Right.
You don't need to sign those kind of guys to 3-year deals or 4-year deals. Like
sure,
Tucker, like Tucker Poolman does not need a 3-year deal.
Sure, but he's a more valuable asset than a Roussel, a Jay Beagle.
Is he? Is Tucker Poolman going to be that more valuable than those guys? He is a fine defenseman who is like.
Yeah, he's better than Roussel and Beagle. I think so.
I will say I don't mind. I liked what I saw out of Jack Rathbone in the preseason game I watched, and I'm on the Luke Schenn bandwagon as a former Kelowna Rocket. And you know what you're getting out of Luke Schenn?
Sure.
He's going to bring a championship man mindset to Vancouver.
There you go. Exactly. I agree. Like, you know, will they get through 2 rounds of playoffs? I don't think so. But will they make the playoffs? Yeah. Will they win a round? Most likely. And their defense got better. And
but who do they beat in the like? So okay, I think we both agree that this team is the top 3 team in the Pacific.
Division. Yes, definitely.
I think I'm willing to make that bet.
Yep.
So they're playing. Some people will say Edmonton. Some people will say Seattle. Some people could say
Los Angeles, Calgary.
LA, Calgary. Sure. I don't like how they match up against Seattle. And I'm not just saying that because of the one preseason game I went to. I think because of how each team likes to play stylistically, I think Seattle is better suited in the playoffs.
Okay. I don't disagree.
Edmonton, I just spoke my piece on Edmonton.
Yeah, you did.
If they can shut down Edmonton, sure, they could probably get around them. LA and Calgary, that's a tougher playoff matchup.
Tougher, but Vancouver's a better team as a whole, and they have better goalies, in my opinion.
Okay, so I think we both agree that they're a top 3 team.
Yep.
Who's your X factor on this team?
Vasily Podkolzin.
Ooh.
And he's going to be a guy that's going to be kind of fly under the radar. He's not going to play against the top defense guys. And he's going to be in kind of favorable-ish matchups. He may not play 15, 20 minutes a night. He'll play 12 to 14 minutes a night. But he'll have, when he's on the ice, he'll be effective. And he's a big body, plays third line, and he's got some skill. Some of the moves he had preseason, you watched him live. I saw some of the games on TV. Oh, the kid's, he's a big body, and he's a presence, and he's fun to watch. So
he's gonna be really good in front of the net.
Yeah,
that's where he'll really do well. It's just like right in front of the net, causing shit in front of, being a shit disturber in front of goalies. I think it's like, I mean, he's got a ridiculous shot. Like you saw his shot. Like his shot is.
It was NHL ready in junior.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just a matter of like, can he use his size and be a shit disturber in front of the net, which I think he can be.
Yep.
My X factor is Elias Peterson.
Okay.
Because like last year, I think for the Canucks, last year was a write-off entirely. Like everything about last season was just a write-off with this team.
100%.
But if Petey doesn't do well this season, if he doesn't perform as well as we think he can, there's going to be some conversations talk about, did we, we're signing him the right move? Did we pay him too much? Is Petey maybe not the guy we thought he was? Did he just have like a sophomore slump stretching on to like 3 years now?
Right.
I think, listen, I think he's good. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be their top line center and he'll fit that role perfectly. Mm-hmm. But if it doesn't go as well as we think and they're missing the playoffs again.
Yeah, I don't know. Might be, you bring up a good point. Might be time for a new number 1 center in town.
They might, and you don't know Jim Benny. Jim Benny might be looking at, a move, a trade. He's known to move pieces.
That's true. That's very true. We'll see what happens.
Okay, last team we have to preview.
Yeah, let's talk about Vegas.
All right, so what a weird season for them, where they were second in the West last year.
Yep.
They lose their first 2 games to Colorado. First game or 2 to Colorado, and then they went on to basically reverse sweep them.
Yeah.
And then they lose to Montreal in the third in the semifinals. Basically, they lost by the same way that they beat Colorado, with just speed, physicality, and getting lucky bounces. Good goaltending, getting lucky bounces.
Again, I think Vegas just got absolutely drained from trying to beat Colorado, and then Montreal just like had lots of rest and just pummeled them.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that.
But here's the thing with Vegas is, again, one of the last before Kraken franchise team, the new team. I like the Golden Knights, man. They're fun to watch, and they've got, dare I say, 2 of the best defensemen in the NHL. Dare I say?
The fact that they still have Alec Martinez, like after this whole offseason of changes, and they still have room for him.
Yep.
That's incredible.
It's incredible. It is. Honestly, I like Vegas defensively and their goaltending. Leonard's good. Leonard's solid. Their top 6, their defensemen are all very good. Forward right now, Alex Tuch's he's out for, I think he's on injured reserve for a bit.
Yeah, he's gonna miss some significant time.
And Nicola Waugh's also day to day. Like, I think he'll be back should be back for the regular season. Nolan Patrick's come in. Cody Glass is out. That's going to be a big thing to see. Maybe a fresh start for Nolan Patrick is a good thing. Second overall pick.
A good change of scenery.
Yeah, I think it really is. And again, not having Cody Glass, he was a solid player, and he was Vegas's first draft pick ever. So I think there's a connection there. But Patrick's going to come in hungry, I think, to prove himself and to prove that, he actually can be at least a better player than what he's been so far in his career.
So Patrick will be, I think, a good fit in Vegas.
Yeah.
We talked about their defense, which might be the best 1 through 6 in the NHL.
There's definitely an argument. I think they are, but there could be arguments for other teams. But yeah, they're up there.
I think my biggest concern with this team is center.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Listen, I like Chandler Stevenson, but if he's your first line center, that's a bit concerning.
He's not a 1C. He's probably a 3C, but playing a 1C with 2 top flight wingers, one of them being elite.
Sure. And my other concern is I don't get why. I get why you move on from Fleury. I get why you trade Marc-Andre. I don't get why you don't get more for him. But I don't get why you, because you brought in Evgeny Dadonov from Ottawa in his $5 million, and now you have to ship out Fleury to bring in Evgeny Dadonov.
Yeah.
That's a bit curious. I think the move, I'm sure that move, it's kind of like when Montreal got Jake Allen, right? And people were like, oh, well, on the surface, they just win the trade because they got the better player and they only gave up a draft pick or somebody else for Dadonov. Okay, sure, fair enough. But as a result, now you have to trade Fleury. That's a little bit curious.
Very suspicious. And again, the whole Fleury situation, who knows what happened? Time will tell. Only time will tell at this point. But it's too bad you trade the Vezina winner to the Blackhawks for a third round pick, for a pick. But I don't know, man. I don't love the move, but yeah.
It's not something I would do. How about that?
No. I really like Fleury. We talked about him when we talked about Chicago. I do like the Blackhawks now. I think they're a playoff team. I think I did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're a playoff team. Yeah, they're on my list. But again, Leonard's still really good, right? And the thing that's not the issue here. It's goaltending's not the issue in Vegas. But
another guy I want to shout out, by the way, is Keegan Kolazar, former Seattle Thunderbird.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're just starting listening to this podcast, I will say I am a bit of a simp for former WHL players who are currently in the NHL,
specifically American WHL,
especially U.S. division, basically U.S. division or Kelowna, BC guys. Basically, I am a bit of a simp for you, so we'll get Keegan on the podcast as soon as we can. Who's your X factor on this team?
That's a tough one. I got to think about that.
Do you want me to go first? First?
Yeah, you go first. I'd love to hear who your X factor is.
So we obviously try and stay away from the goalie as an X factor because it's a cliche, pretty much oh, you got to have the hot goalie, etc.
Yeah.
This is gonna be Robin Leonard's first real, I think, he's in control. He doesn't have a Yaroslav Halak like he did in the Islanders to back him up. He doesn't have the handcuff in Marc-Andre Fleury, possibly, or even he's not even backing up Fleury. This is Robin. This he is the guy.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing because I think he is capable of being the guy.
Yeah.
But there's gonna be a lot of pressure on him this season, and I'm curious to see how he thrives in this environment of being in Las Vegas where you're expected to win every night.
Yeah.
He's not going to start every night, obviously, but he's going to get a lot of opportunity. He could be starting 60 games this year.
Yeah, he could.
And I'm curious to see how well he does He's got a good defense in front of him. Definitely an X factor, an intriguing player to say the least. For me, on Vegas is Robin Lehner.
I like it. No, that's a good call. I'm going to say, oh man, there's so many good players here.
I think I know who you're gonna take.
I was gonna say Shea Theodore, but
that's not who I thought you were gonna take. But yeah, that makes sense.
I was gonna say Shea Theodore. Man, I could talk about any of the top 4 defensemen really.
Basically, also if you're just joining, like you're just starting to listen to the podcast, I have a thing for Shea Theodore also played for the Seattle Thunderbirds.
Thunderbird, yeah.
Scott has is a simp for like anything Anaheim Duck, like anything Ducks related. He's wearing a jersey, so like.
Hey, this is the Pacific Division preview. I gotta pull it up.
I should actually hold on a second here. Just buy some time for like a few seconds.
Yeah, I'll say Shea Theodore is my X factor. He's a really important piece of this team, and he was one of the guys from the Vegas expansion draft that's still with the team. And speaking of Shea Theodore, there's a Golden Knights jersey.
Yeah, so I got this on what's the hockey jersey website? I can't even remember it now.
Wasn't it like Hockey Monkey or something?
No, something else. I'll remember it. Anyways, basically I got this, like they gave like a surprise jersey for like $100, and it was a Vegas jersey, and my mom's a Vegas fan, so like this works out well for her. She likes it.
There you go. Shea Theodore's the guy. He's gonna be a huge part of kind of driving the offense on that team, as he always has been. And again, him and Pietrangelo, as they won't be a deep pair, but him and Pietrangelo will command the ice from the back end, and they're going to drive the Golden Knights to first place in this division.
Nick Hague and Zach Whitecloud too, as like
also 5 and 6. Underrated deep pair.
Yeah, that's gonna be really fun to watch.
It will, for sure.
All right, so quickly we'll go 1 through 4, or 1 through 8. We'll do 1 through 8.
Yeah, sure.
Or do you want to go from 8 to 1?
Let's go 8 to 1.
8 to 1. Okay.
All right. Am I going first?
You go first.
Okay. San Jose is going to finish last. Calgary is going to be 7th. Anaheim will finish 6th. LA will finish 5th. Edmonton will finish 4th. Seattle will finish 3rd. The Canucks will finish 2nd. And the Golden Knights will win the Pacific Division, like I said about 10 minutes ago.
Okay. San Jose finishes 8th.
Yep.
Anaheim finishes 7th.
Okay, not last. That's good.
Just for your sake. Calgary finishes 6th.
Okay.
Edmonton finishes 5th. LA is 4th.
Are they a playoff team?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. They will. The LA Kings. I said it last year, like a dark horse sleeper. The Kings. I'll say it again this year. The Kings will make the playoffs.
I like it. That's a hot take right there.
Canucks 3rd.
Yep.
Seattle 2nd. Vegas 1st.
Oh, the 2 expansion teams, 1 and 2. I like it. That's a good take.
I'll say I'm confident with that. We have 3 questions, but 1 question we're going to save for when we do some baseball talk later on the podcast, probably later this month. 2 podcasts. Raymond asked, what's the shittiest logo in the NHL?
Ooh.
It might be not again to offend you. It might be the Modern Ducks.
It might, to be honest, it might be. It might be. I don't disagree with that. The OG Ducks logo, no, there's no,
but like the web foot now, that's a tough look.
Okay. I won't argue that one.
Dallas is not great.
I was gonna say Arizona's before they went back to Kachina's.
Yes,
that would have been up there as well.
Maybe Columbus.
Yeah, Columbus is very blah. New Jersey as well, maybe.
No, the Devils is classic.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Devils is classic.
Minnesota might be like. I think Minnesota's kind of cool, but it's also like, what the hell's a Wild?
That's more about the team itself. That's not like the logo. I'm gonna say the old Arizona logo.
No, you gotta say a modern logo right now of all the NHL logos right now.
Columbus.
Okay.
I can't disrespect my Ducks like that.
But I can.
Yeah,
It's the webfoot.
you can disrespect the Ducks. That's fine.
That's fine. Okay.
I'm not
So Raymond, shittiest logo in the NHL. It's the Ducks current jersey, the one that Scott's wearing. Left side heavy. Jevin. He asks. Check out the Left Side Heavy podcast, by the way. Jevin asks over under 95 points for PD this season.
Under, but it's close.
I'm going to say under, and it might not be that. Like, it might be about like 80, 75, 80.
I think it's going to be closer to 90.
Okay.
But I'm confident in PD for him to prove that he's worth $7.75 million.
I think he needs to, like, what would be a good season for PD? Is it like 80 points?
85 points.
85 points?
35 goals, 85 points.
Okay.
Would be a good season. And plus 10, at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Read into plus minus. Interesting. All right. That's our NHL Pacific Division preview. We've now done all 4 divisions. Getting set ahead.
To do it, but we did it.
We did it somehow, some way. We did it. Took us long enough. We finally did it. NHL opening night, October 12th, Tuesday. Scott, one thing. I want one thing you are looking forward to this upcoming NHL season.
Wow. There's so much I could talk about here.
And Dylan Larkin is available. You can talk about Dylan Larkin.
Talk about Dylan. Okay, good. I was going to steal him from you. Hopefully he goes to the Ducks. No, I'm just kidding.
Screw you.
The Calder Trophy race this year will actually be kind of nuts. Just thinking about all the guys that are in the running and could be winners of it. And we talked about 3 of them today. Zegras, Drysdale, and Podkolzin are in that mix. Talked about Caulfield as well.
Mo Sider on Detroit is another
Moritz
name.
Sider is another guy.
He's not going to get a lot of love for it, but I think he is someone that should be mentioned.
He should definitely. That 2019 draft class is going to show out this year.
It's Bowen Byron. No, Byron was last year. Sorry.
Byron was a rookie last year.
Yeah.
Same with what's his face? Kaprizov was a rookie last year.
Yes.
This will be whoever wins the Calder this year will be a very notable player. Like someone we've kind of been like looking for and waiting for to kind of break out. I'm predicting it'll be Caulfield or Zegras, but I'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. What are you looking forward towards? Yeah.
You know, I think it's the Kraken. I think I'm really excited to see the Kraken, Seattle, how people actually get out of the Queen Anne neighborhood after games. That's going to be fascinating. As a Seattle person, that really just applies. Like, if you know, you know. Like, if you know how bad.
To our 3 or 4 viewers who are from the Seattle, well, you'll get a good laugh out of that one. That will be good.
That's for that's for 5 people that maybe listen to this. I really think that, and I think the Kraken are going to be really fun, you know, in terms of just like maybe not actually watching, because there are times where they were looking tough to watch in terms of just playing on their heels the entire time. But I think in terms of the crowd, the arena, the energy, the jerseys are some of the nicest in the league.
I agree. Yeah, the jerseys are clean.
It's pretty easy when you just create a new one to you know, make a nice one.
To not fuck it up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. But yeah, go Kraken. It's Kraken, baby. The season is cracking.
Nice.
That's the podcast. Thank you very much for listening. This week we have I think we have one more podcast coming out this week with Jevin Lefebvre. Probably coming out Friday, so stay tuned for that. Are you're not going to hop on that one? You're not going to talk about Jalen Hurts' impact on the Eagles this season and why he could be a potential superstar?
Oh yeah. NFC East is still a shit show, right? Or is it better now?
The Cowboys, I think, have made it better.
Oh, that's good. Well, I mean, Dak is healthy again.
Yeah, Dak's healthy, and like
Is Zeke being like decent? Is he at least
Zeke's okay.
Zeke's
Like,
okay. Hey, that's good.
Zeke is like, he's not shitting the bed.
That's good.
Yes.
That's what you like to hear.
Exactly. So, and besides, now with, Russ out for an extended period of time, it's not like we have to talk about the Seahawks.
True. Well, you'll have lots to talk about on that podcast, no doubt.
Exactly. So be sure to tune in then. Check out the rest of the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, where we get your podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I gotta update that. I haven't been on like the fucking YouTube channel for forever. We gotta make some more vids. So be sure to like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll be back later this week. Thanks again to Scott for taking the time to do this, and we'll be back soon. Peace out.